Hey, and welcome back everyone. In this video today, I'm focusing on the college's recent efforts in terms of guided pathways and meta majors. So in this video, I want to talk about guided pathways and meta majors as really a paradigm shift in terms of how we deliver education here at the college. In the past, we offered what many educators have called the cafeteria model of education. And in that model, essentially a student would be provided in their schedule of classes or college catalog with a slew of choices in terms of course offerings. There often wasn't any rhyme or reason as to how these courses were put into the schedule. There wasn't necessarily any rhyme or reason in terms of a logical pathway to follow. An example of this is maybe you're a student at a UC and you're majoring in creative writing, and you need certain courses to complete your degree in 4 years, and then because of sabbatical leaves of the faculty or gaps in the faculty leaving or retiring, you can't always complete those courses, and thus you can't complete your degree in 4 years' time. So the impetus of guided pathways and what we call the meta majors began with this idea of moving away from the cafeteria model into a more structured model that provides some choices for students but limits those choices in favor of efficiency of operation, in favor of timely completion, in favor of passing on monetary savings to students because of all those efficiencies that are now part of this new paradigm shift that we're talking about here with guided pathways and meta majors. So as a faculty member, you will be teaching in an environment where you're probably aware of at some level of the meta major. We'll be asking faculty more and more to think about discussing careers in their classes, regardless of if you're teaching anthropology like I do, or you're teaching fire science, where maybe the assumption is that there's a clear pathway into becoming a firefighter or a chief and so forth. Whereas in anthropology, the assumption is you become, I don't know, a college professor like I did with my anthropology degrees. So I think we're really looking at a different picture in terms of moving towards guided pathways and meta majors, focusing on clarity, maintaining some choice of offerings, being more efficient, being very directed with students such that students can complete on time and they understand the pathway towards completion from the very minute they enter campus, whether as a face-to-face student here like we are today in B103 at the college, or they are taking a distance education class or an ISP class at an institution of corrections in the state of California. And so it's really important to emphasize, I think, to our students in our classes, the whole paradigm of guided pathways and meta majors. In this video, in a second here, I'll do a cutaway and I'll give you a little more background on this. And I should say I have a pretty lengthy video as well on this entire topic that I'll be linking here in this online orientation, so you can have a little closer look at some of the dynamics of pathways and meta majors. But real quick, if you looked at the summer and fall 2019 schedule, we actually have our meta majors here predominantly featured on the front and back. And as you can see here, there are 5 different meta majors. And those meta majors are also included here in the schedule, and it describes each of these. And just to review, we have 5 of these: arts, languages, and humanities, business, hospitality, and leadership, health and public safety, society, culture, and education, science, technology, and environment. And the easy way to think about a meta major is that it's a clustering of like programs. As an example, if I look at mine, which is the Brown Society, Culture, and Education meta major, this will include programs that typically are called social science. So geography, anthropology, sociology, psychology, history, political science, and so forth. So what the faculty did over a period of a year was to sit down and really try to group things, come up with action words. We worked closely with a graphic designer to develop our wonderful icons that you see on our t-shirts and you'll be seeing on our social media and branding going into the future. So real quick, let me then jump into just a cutaway video, and I'll show you a little more of this here on my computer to give you a sense of the lay of the land in terms of guided pathways and meta majors. Okay, so we'll do the cutaway right now just to give you a bit of sense of what has come before in terms of guided pathways and the related project, strategic enrollment management. This will just be a brief version of some of the details related to these projects, including development of meta majors. If you want the full version of this, I encourage you to go to my YouTube page, and I will link that here in our orientation. And it's a video called SEM Guided Pathways and Promise. It's pretty long, an hour and a half. And as you can see, I have actually time indexed it. So this will start at the beginning and talk to you about the SEM project. It'll talk about the LTCC Promise project, the meta majors, the branding, and so forth. It's pretty comprehensive, and I put it together using most of the media you're seeing right here. But what happened was, well over a year since this video was made in 2018, the faculty got together and began to talk about the idea of meta majors, which again are the groupings of like majors. And what happened in that process was a series of conversations about what majors might be grouped together, and you can see there were some graphical elements of this. We also talked about where we might take meta majors and guided pathways in the future. We had subsequent faculty days where we took some of the previous work and expanded on it. So we tried to group together our current transfer degrees and certificates. And with a few exceptions, we pretty much were on point as groups. We really had the same majors in the same areas. We initially had 6 meta majors, public safety and health, and then we actually combined those to make 5 because the feeling was we didn't have enough, say, in public safety to justify having that as its own meta major. And you'll just see some additional examples of working in our groups. Then separate from this, we had a group called the Strategic Enrollment Management Group, and this was a year-long project, and we had some meetings. And a lot of what we did in Strategic Enrollment Management at some statewide conferences really did parallel the efforts with guided pathways. And this is our group down in Sacramento having a conversation and trying to brainstorm some future efforts. And a lot of this came back to campus. And so we had, for example, a day where we try to map out here using elements of the successful concentric sky program mapper. We try to map out sequences of classes to really be in tune with that notion of guided pathways, which is to limit some of the choices that students have in order to get them to complete more quickly or on time. We had Dr. Poindexter come in, who presented on the student services side of guided pathways, quite a few activities with faculty, staff, and students. Our group continued to meet. Parallel with this, we had a group working on scheduling and having conversations with our coaches in the SEM project. So I'm giving you a sense of this. I mean, it's pretty extensive as far as our total effort. And when we went down to our final SEM convening, we produced this poster board, and we also had this Tableau program. And a lot of this information, I think, is going to be very relevant in the future because we'll be able to use particularly the technology tools to do better scheduling in the future and to develop some of the guided pathways. So I'm just taking you through to show you everything that went into our efforts. We actually called our program Tahoe Clear, and these are just slides from our posters that we presented. And yeah, as you can see, it ends down here with our meta majors, and that's kind of where we'll end this cutaway video to show you that we created these meta majors, and they were pretty involved. There was a group of us that met and developed these over time, different iterations, I think 7 or 8 different iterations, talking about the colors, talking about the icons, and so forth. So just a real collaborative project across the campus in terms of getting to the stage where we are now with our meta majors and guided pathways. So as we think about meta majors and guided pathways and how it impacts you as a part-time faculty member or a new full-time faculty member here at LTCC, initially, and this video is being shot in 2019, as we're just rolling things out with pathways and meta majors, you may not see a direct impact. You'll see some of the branding, you'll see some of the stuff at the Coyote Kickoff, which happens annually at the last Friday, the Friday of Convocation Week, typically in mid-September. You'll see things on the website. Over time, I think you'll see more pronounced effects. You'll begin to see career symposia being offered to students here at the college. Each symposia, say, would connect with one of the 5 meta majors. You'll see changes in what the website looks like. You might see changes in our apps. You might see changes in our schedule, such that we start to group things according to meta majors. We start to plan according to meta majors, and we do things maybe thinking through the meta majors initially and not through our departments, as has been the case in the past. So I think it's a good opportunity if you're new to the college to connect with your department chair, connect with your leads, connect with your fellow faculty in your discipline, talk to your instructional deans, because they often will know, they have maybe been involved in some of the planning sessions as I have relative to, in this case, guided pathways and meta majors. So really have conversations with them. I think one thing we want to see roll out in the future is more focus on careers and completion as connected to meta majors and guided pathways, as we might possibly discuss relative to the discipline that we're teaching. So good luck, and I'll certainly be back with more videos like this with you, talking about these and other issues here at LTCC.